Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, managing editor of Canada's podcast. Taking care of business today with Géraldine Jippé, who is a futurepreneur mentor and what's turned a serial slowpreneur, which we'll get into with her shortly. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's such a great pleasure.
All right, tell me, Geraldine, what does it mean when we talk about being a slowpreneur?
For me, being a slowpreneur is to have at heart not only, supporting communities, but also taking in consideration the environment from a sustainability perspective, but also caring about, um, the care of entrepreneurs and making sure that we don't burn ourselves while creating what we have to create. And also for durability purposes, because we've seen a growth of depressions, burnouts amongst the population of entrepreneurs over the last couple.
Yeah, and why do you think that's happened?
I mean, the reality is running a business for sure is very strict and severe. You have obligations, you have to perform, you have to connect a lot. So most of the time you're trying to push your dream to make them become really true, and then you put everything at risk, even your health. And what I think is also very important is just to make sure to find the right balance. And when I say right balance, I consider myself as a solopreneur, but I do also understand that there are a few entrepreneurs that, you know, work 80 hours a week and they're just fine. So it's not just to judge people based on their pace a week, but it's just to make sure that people have in mind that they need to value their personal care, their personal well being.
hmm Now, just before we get into your relationship with the organization Futurpreneur, I wanted to ask about a couple of things that you do, Geraldine. One's a podcast series, and Slow is Good, and the other is a digital hub that you have. Now, I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Is it Blossoming?
Yes. So
Okay, tell me a little bit about both.
super excited to talk about Blossoming House and also Slow is Good. Slow is Good's podcast, to be honest, is in pause right now, but it used to be conversation like the one we have actually with entrepreneurs to discuss their lives and the things they have to do to start caring about themselves and
Yeah.
thinking about, how they could do better in order to create an environment that is fulfilling but also caring for everyone. And Blossoming House is about that. It's a boutique with different experiences from coaching experiences, but also consulting, but also um, sound experiences for people to find a way to rest and to welcome wellness and balance.
Uh-huh. Now, tell me a little bit about your relationship with Futurepreneur and how that started and what you do with the organization.
So it's a beautiful relationship that I started cultivated a couple years ago, where I was attending a few events first, and then I applied to become a mentor. For sure, I do mentoring for a living, but for me, contributing to supporting entrepreneurs and the future generation of entrepreneurs is also very key. And I had the chance to be in touch with entrepreneurs that were innovating in sustainable environment, cosmetics as well, fashion, and technology. And for me, this connection, I mean, I've been serving as a mentor, as a volunteering mentor since I arrived in Canada. I was born and raised in France. And for me, contributing is a part of that. But beyond that, it also, for me, a way to learn about communities, about diversity of entrepreneurs and their creations.
hmm Now, January, which we just passed, was mentorship month, and let's talk a little bit about, I guess, mentorship and the importance of it. Why is it important to have a mentor, especially if you're a young well, I shouldn't say young in age, but young in business, right? And you're just starting out, and you're heading in a certain direction. Why is it important to have a mentor?
I mean, finding guidance in every, features of the venture that you're creating is essential. Even with the multiple enterprises that I run, I also run I co-run Asset Suite, which is a digital platform to tokenize real estate. We also have mentors, and mentors are meant to provide guidance through their own experiences, lived experiences, but also professional experiences, whether they are themselves entrepreneurs or leaders in their field. And I think with that, it gives like, larger and bigger perspectives. It gives also sometimes clarity. We can act as soundboards. I always have at heart to mention to all the mentees that I've been collaborating with that they need to make sure that in what they're creating, they find a balance, because it's so easy to dive into all the intricacies of building your online campaigns and then selling your things here and meeting there, and then you never stop and it's 7 days a week, and then you have nothing because you just committed to your business. I'm not saying that we don't have to work hard as entrepreneurs, but as a mentor, I think it's our role to make sure that yes, our mentees are performant, but also taken care of, if I may say.
Yeah. Did you have mentors along your journey?
I had, and I still do actually, and they are essential to, make the heavy lifting when it comes to the perspective that we don't see. I mean, with all the years that I have behind my belt as an entrepreneur, we always make mistakes. I mean, it's human. We always sometimes feel some kind of fatigue of trying to push so hard and see things coming, but to a pace that's sometimes not necessarily adequate. So that's why it's important to find people that will, help us, find the check that we need.
Yeah.
Or I would say sometimes the spank we need.
Yeah, exactly. So, when you're looking at mentorship, and when you're talking to some of these people that have all these visions and dreams, etc., what's your best piece of advice for them?
I mean, the connections is everything. I mean, I've been evolving in the tech space, in the consulting space, and the coaching space as well for the last couple of years. And we always think that, all the technology in the world will replace human connections, but it's actually not true. When we want to move the needle, we need someone to connect us, to refer us, to, we need that link. And I think that's the most important. And sometimes, and I've seen that, we're so focused on making, our MVP work, or, selling our prototypes, that we forget that at the end of the day, the person that will actually trust us is a human being.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. Now, when the people that you've dealt with, and the people that you've experienced out there, and that are entrepreneurs, what does it take to be a successful entrepreneur? Is there a certain quality or trait of personality uh, that you need?
I think patience is one of the key quality that we need, because things sometimes can happen very quickly or very slowly. So that's very important. Perseverance is essential because you never know when it's time to push and keep going, even when you will face tremendous rejection from, coming from different directions. So
Yeah.
it's really
Okay, wonderful. Anything else you wanted to add, Geraldine?
I'm feeling blessed actually to be a mentor to all the community of young entrepreneurs that I have the chance to, to mentor, to connect with. I have to say, as a mentor, it's also a way for me to learn about their own journey and industry, but also, it's a co-creative space for me and the way I see it. So I think we're working together. I'm just not just mentoring on my own. I'm co-creating with them.
So I just wanted to add one thing there that you did mention. It's not like a one way. a one-way conversation, right? Like you, as a mentor, you often learn things from the mentee, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's the best way to be supportive for them in the sense that we don't always know what's their background. We learn along the way. We learn about their industries. They have different industries. Of course, we're being matched based on our skills, but there are things that I'm learning. For example, Xavier that I'm working with has a Pokemon business. Um, and I feel very attached to it because my son, who is 8, is into it. But I had to learn in order to understand, and I had to ask a few questions to him, and but also to my son in order to make sure that I can be the best help I can.
Yeah, exactly. And the last thing I wanted to ask you is how important is it to have an organization like Futurepreneur and its programs out there for people?
I mean, it's essential. The mentorship and coaching industry is a very expensive industry, right? By 2029, I think it will be topping $100 billion industry. And I think accessing mentors and for free is really important to have that very special link to people that can help and that can also connect you to make it faster for you to grow as an entrepreneur. And I
Hmm.
think Futurepreneur has made that happen for the last couple of years beautifully and also brought a lot of diversity in the mentees and also the mentors. So
All
that's
right.
very important. Yes,
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Geraldine, for joining us today.
my pleasure.
All right, that was Géraldine Jippé, who is a futurepreneur mentor and a serial slowpreneur. I'm Mario Toneguzzi, managing editor of Canada's podcast. Thanks for joining us today.